Hare Krishna. So, welcome to the reading session of Adyatma Ramayana. Today we'll be reading from the Ayodhya Kanda, chapter 6, Lakshmana's Gospel, crossing of river Ganges, meeting with sages Bharadwaja and Valmiki's Gospel. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. So let's begin with a prayer to Lord Sri Ramachandra. Sri Ramachandra Charanau Manasa Smarami Shri Ramachandra Charanau Vachasa Grinami Shri Ramachandra Charanau Shirasa Namami Shri Ramachandra Charanau Sharanam Prapadye. I remember the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra in my mind. I praise the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra by my speech. I salute the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra by bowing down my head. I take refuge on the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra by bowing myself down. Jai Shri Ram. So let's start with the reading. Ayodhya Kanda, chapter 6. Lakshmana's Gospel, crossing of river Ganges, meeting with sages Bharadwaja and Valmiki's Gospel. Lord Shiva said, O Parvati, seeing Sri Rama sleeping on the ground in a humble condition, Guha filled his eyes with tears and said to Lakshmana politely, O brother, are you watching? Raghava, who used to recline on golden bedstead on beautiful mattresses in his majestic palace, is sleeping along with Sita on the rough bed made up of grass and leaves on the ground. The Creator has made Kaikeyi the cause of all this agony and distress to Sri Rama. She has greatly sinned by relying on the corrupted wisdom of Mantara. Hearing this, Lakshmana said, O friend, listen to me. Who is responsible for the sorrows, distress, and agony of others? A man's past deeds is the only cause of his happiness and sorrows. No one can give sorrows to him or happiness. To think that someone else is responsible for one's happiness or sorrow is ill advised. I do it. This ego or pride is in vain and futile because everyone is shackled by the rope of one's own deeds. That is, everyone is impelled by his past and present deeds and their resultant effects. The pure self, the true I, which is pure consciousness, in fact does nothing. It has no ego or pride as such. A person establishes various imaginary relationships such as friendliness, a friend or an enemy, indifference or apathy, malice, ill will, or a median path of evenness or equanimity, as well as of brotherhood, etc., by behaving differently with people with whom he comes in contact in this world. So we see that now Lakshmana is giving the jnana to Guha. So earlier we saw how Lakshmana was very angry at all those things that happened in the palace and the doings of Kaikeyi and how Rama was sent to the forest, and where Lord Ramachandra gave the advice and the right knowledge to Lakshmana, and now we see that Lakshmana in turn is giving that knowledge to Guha. Hence, a person should bear all sorrows or happiness that come along his way due to the effects of his past deeds, prarabdha karma, with great fortitude, indifference, forbearance, equanimity, and placidity of mind. And as a consequence, he should remain calm, cheerful, happy, and serene. We do not desire to acquire and enjoy the pleasures of the sense organs and the objects of this materialistic world, nor do we wish to abandon or forsake them. Whether they come or not, we are not dependent on them. That is, we do not yearn for or bother about them for our happiness. Now, these are great words. So it's not that we forsake the comforts or the forsake the whatever is given to us by this material world, nor do we get attached to it. So here Lakshmana rightly gives us, we do not desire to acquire them, nor do we wish to abandon them. So it's not that it's he tries to say that our happiness doesn't depend on whether we get the facilities of this material world or whether we don't get it. In either case, we are happy because happiness has to come from within. It shouldn't depend on the external paraphernalia or the external comforts that we get from others. If I try to say that my happiness depends on my brother or a sister or my family, then it means that I give the independence of my happiness to others or things around me. Or this car gives me happiness. Or if I have a big house, I'm happy. Or if I have a great big job or a well-earning job, I'm happy. If people appreciate me, I'm happy. If I give the key to my happiness to others or things in this material world, which are definitely temporary, then that is not the right way of doing it. The happiness has to come from within. So that is what Lakshmana is trying to tell here. We do not yearn or bother about them for our happiness. In in whichever country or whatever time one does good or bad, auspicious or inauspicious deeds, without doubt he has to enjoy or suffer its consequences accordingly. So if we have done something good, we have to be born to enjoy for those good deeds. And if we have done something wrong, then we definitely have to be born to suffer the consequences of it, either in this birth, in the same birth, or in the next. Hence, with the sprouting and ripening of the fruits of auspicious or inauspicious deeds, that is based on our good and bad karmas, it is useless to feel happy or sorrowful the edict because the edict by the creator cannot be violated by either the gods or the demons. So this is the reality of this material world. It runs on the laws of karma. So whether you have done a good deed or a bad deed, you have to be born until you suffer it or you enjoy the deeds. I enjoy for the good deeds or suffer for the bad deeds. And this is the law under which the entire material creation works, the laws of karma. And this cannot be changed by anyone. Even the great gods or the demons cannot change this. So that's what we see in great devotees. They sing the song. They sing the reality of this material world. Even the great gods, starting from Brahma to the small ant in this world, all are bound by the chains of karma, of their own karma. A man is constantly surrounded by a variety of sorrows or agonies and happiness, because the human body is the result of a cocktail of the evil and the good and goodness, and is therefore naturally subjected to their inherent characteristics and qualifying features. Sorrows follows happiness and vice versa. Both of them are sequential and unavoidable by the creature like the day and night. So we cannot avoid that. Sorrows and agonies are inherent to happiness and joy, and vice versa. Both of them have the same relationship with each other as water has with slush. This is why the wise one regard everything as an illusion and bear with fortitude, forbearance, and equanimity both success or disaster without having either the emotions of delight and happiness or anguish and remorse at it. That is, sorrows and happiness depend on the outlook of the peer person to a given set of circumstances. And this is very true because When we see people suffering through because of certain situations, we might think, what is there to suffer so much? How can such a situation cause a harm to that person? Because we are not bound by that karma. So we are indifferent to that particular circumstance or situation. But that person is bound to that particular karma or that particular situation, which are because of which he is greatly agonized, or he is very happy, or whatever it is, because of that situation. For us, some of us, like, for example, I can give a small example. Like, I am not afraid of dogs. Yeah. When a dog passes by, it's natural for me. Okay, fine, it's there. It's passing by. That's all right. But then, what about a person who had a bad experience with the dog? The moment he sees the dog, there's a lot of fear in him, and he tries to run away, or he starts trembling, or there is some kind of a fear in him, which because of which he moves away from the dog. Yes. Now, why is this? Because I don't have that bad experience with the dog as that person has had, right? So it is our karmas which determine how we react to a particular situation. If I don't have a karma of being treated badly, then I would have never faced such a situation in my life. But if another person has a karma of being treated badly, then wherever he goes in this world, he will face that particular situation. So everything runs based on our karma. The situation in which we are born into, the situation, circumstances in which we grew up, everything is directed by our karma. So this is a very important point which we all should remember. And because everything is governed by karma, once there is happiness, there will definitely be sorrow, and happiness again comes back. So there is no point in getting elated or being sorrowful at different situations. Though it's easy to say, we need to practice it consciously in our everyday life. While Guha and Lakshmana were talking with each other, the dawn illuminated the sky. Then Sri Rama became alert and carefully sipped a palmful of water and did his daily purification rituals. After that, he said, "O friend, bring a strong boat for me soon." Hearing these words of Sri Rama, the lord of the Nishad community, that is Guha, himself brought a boat with an auspicious make and marking, and submitted, "O Lord, both the boat along with Sita and Lakshman. I shall row it myself most carefully along with my kins." Sri Rama first put the virtuous and good character Sita on it. Then he held the hands of Guha and boarded the boat himself. Thereafter, having placed his arms and armaments on board, Lakshmana himself boarded the boat. As compared to the story of Ramacharitra here the boatman did not disallow Sri Rama from boarding the boat before washing his feet. Okay, there is one particular story in Ramacharitra regarding this. Okay. Then Guha rowed the boat himself along with his clansmen. When the boat reached midstream, Janaki prayed to river Ganges. "O goddess Ganga, I bow my head before you. While returning from the forest, I shall worship you along with Sri Rama and Lakshmana." Having prayed so, they crossed the river in due course and proceeded further ahead on their path. So there's a note. In Hindu traditional system, a wife is not supposed to pronounce her husband's first name. By saying Rama and Lakshmana, Sita indicated that though for worldly sport she might be Sri Rama's wife, but in reality there is no such relationship as husband and wife between the two. These two are at par with each other, complement each other, and are the two aspects of the same coin as it were. One is the supreme Brahman, and other is his cosmic, infinite creative powers or energy, as well as his delusionary energy. So there's a beautiful uh, phrase where someone asked, a devotee asked Srimati Radharani, like, who is this Krishna? And Radharani replies, "Mama eva paurusham rupam." He is none other than my male form. He compliments me, or he is my male form. So she doesn't say that, oh, he is the supreme lord, he is that, he is this, or I am his lover or something like that. So they are keeping themselves on par. So the male and the female energies are two sides of the same coin. So as I mentioned earlier, the the sankalpa comes from the purusha, and execution of that sankalpa is the duty of the prakriti. So both has to work hand in hand. Without Shakti, there is no Purusha, and without Purusha, there is no Shakti. So it is like that's what Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati shows in their Ardhanarishwara form. So it is not that one is lower than the other or not. It is both are equal to each other and both complement each other. So that's what is beautifully described here. Then Guha requested Raghava, Sri Rama, O Rajendra, King of Kings, I shall also accompany you. Give me your consent, otherwise I shall live my life. One is going to live their life for that. Okay, it appears he is the fifth person threatening Sri Rama that he would commit suicide if Sri Rama does not take him along. Earlier it was Kausalya, then Lakshmana, Sita, and the citizens. Okay, that was a note. Hearing the woe of Nishada, Sri Rama said, I shall come here after spending 14 years in Dandakaranya forest. Whatever I say is the truth, for verily Rama does not tell a lie. Saying this, Sri Rama consoled his devotee Guha, embraced him repeatedly, and bid him farewell. Then Guha returned home unwillingly and with difficulty. So Rama has to convince everyone that he will come back. So because he has given that word, he will definitely be back after 14 years. So though it's a long wait, but he will definitely come back. So that's what gives them the hope. Thereafter, Sri Rama, along with Vaidehi and Lakshmana, arrived near the hermitage of sage Bharadwaj and stood outside it. Seeing a resident brahmachari there, he said to him, "Oh, the hermit's attendant, go and inform your guru that the son of Dasharath, Rama, is standing outside the hermitage along with Sita and Lakshmana." Hearing these words, the brahmachari went immediately to the sage, touched his feet, touched his head at the feet of sage Bharadwaj, and said, "O Lord, Sri Rama has come with his wife and younger brother, and he is standing outside. Sri Rama, who is revered and exalted as the gods, has asked me to convey the news of his arrival to you." Hearing this, the exalted sage Bharadwaj stood up instantly, and taking along water for oblation and other offerings with him, he came near Sri Rama. Seeing Sri Rama, he worshipped him along with Lakshmana in a proper way, and welcoming him, he said, "O Sri Rama, O the lotus-eyed one, come, purify my thatched hut with the dust of your feet." Saying this, he escorted the two brothers along with Sita to his hut. Then he worshipped them with full devotion, systematically and formally welcoming them. Then the sage said, "O Sri Rama, my austerities and penances have become fulfilled by having your communion. O Sri Rama, I know all about your past and future. I also know that you are the Supreme Lord Himself, personified, and have assumed a human form by your delusionary power to complete the job of the gods, that is, to eliminate the demoniac forces. The reason why you have manifested yourself because of Lord Brahma's prayer in an earlier time. The reason why you have been sent to exile in the forest, and whatever you shall be doing in the future, I know all that by virtue of the transcendental vision which I have acquired by the grace of your devotion and worship. So we have to understand this thing, that the great sages, they know the past, present, and the future. And this they know through their meditation. They are blessed with great siddhis, that they can see the future, they can see the past and what is happening there. So it is by this that they can that they are able to understand the higher truth, and they are not agitated by what is happening in this world. Mm. So and yes, And he also says that I have got all this transcendental vision by the virtue of my devotion towards you. So, because of his devotion towards Sri Ramachandra, he has been blessed with all these powers and siddhis. Oh, the best one in Raghu's clan, what more can I tell you? I have been greatly honored and feel privileged that I am watching you. Oh, the sun in the clan of Kukusta, you are beyond nature and are the most exalted Supreme Lord, the Purushottama. Then, along with Sita and Lakshmana, Sri Rama bowed before the sage and said, O Brahmin, we are born in the Kshatriya clan. Hence, we are subjects of your grace and kindness. Having mutually shown respect to each other, they put up with him. Uh, they stayed at the night at his hermitage. That's what they say. So Bharadwaj Maharshi's ashram is located in Allahabad. So that's a footnote here. Waking up in the morning, Raghava boarded a large boat without a sail, which can which was constructed by the boys residing in the hermitage of Bharadwaj, and used it to cross the river Yamuna. He proceeded towards the Chitrakoot mountains as directed by Sage Bharadwaj. At Chitrakoot, Sage Valmiki's hermitage was located. When he reached the sage's hermitage, which was full of other hermits and ascetics, various types of animals and birds formed its integral part, and which was always full of flowers and fruits. He saw that the most exalted sage was sitting there. Then Sri Rama, along with Lakshmana and Sita, paid their respects to him with a bowed head. Sage Valmiki's eyes fell on him, whose eyes were as beautiful as a lotus flower, whose body contour was like the Kama, Kamadeva, who had a crown of matted hairs, who could enchant the three worlds and was the lord of Lakshmi, that is Sri Rama, along with Sita and Lakshman. Immediately on seeing him, Sage Valmiki stood up eagerly. His eyes were blank with astonishment and disbelief, and they were filled with tears of delight. He embraced Sri Rama, who is an embodiment of supreme bliss, peace, and tranquility. He duly worshipped the Lord, who is worshipped by the whole world with full devotion and dedication by offering oblations, etc. Offered him eatables, which such as sweet fruits and roots as refreshment, and in this way he showed affectionate welcome to him. Then Raghava most politely said to Sage Valmiki with folded hands, "We have obeyed our father and have come to Dandakaranya forest. You know everything. What reason should we give you for it? Now please tell me a place where I can stay peacefully and comfortably in the forest. At the place directed by you, I shall spend some time living with Sita." When Raghava had said this, the sage smiled and said, O Sri Rama, you are the only and the best for all creatures to reside in. Which means he is saying he is the Paramdhama, he is the final resting place for all the soul. While at the same time, they are your abode. O Raghunandan, this is the general place where you can reside. But since you have asked me for a place where you can stay with Sita, so, oh, the exalted one of Raghu clan, I shall now list those specific places where you can live. One who is tranquil, is even-minded, is without malice or hatred towards anyone, and worships and remembers you day and night. His heart is the main place where you can reside. Oh, that's so beautiful. So Valmiki Maharshi is saying, where are the places where Sri Ramachandra can reside? So he says, it's in the heart of those people who are very serene, even-minded, without any hatred towards anyone, and who worships Rama day and night. You can reside in their heart. So definitely we see that, right, where Anjaneya Swami, Lord Hanuman, he tears opens his chest. We see that Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita are residing there. He who is not obsessed with either dharma as well as adharma, and is instead constantly worships, adores, and remembers you, O Sri Rama, you should reside in his heart, like temple, most joyfully and comfortably along with Sita. This is another place. One who reverentially repeats your holy name, who takes shelter at your lotus feet, and is without confusions, doubts, dilemmas of any kind, as well as do not have any worldly attachments, allurements, and attractions of any manner whatsoever. The heart of such a person is your beautiful temple. This is very interesting, where one who is not obsessed with dharma or adharma. So we see this example in the case of Yudhishthira Maharaj in Mahabharata, where Yudhishthira Maharaj was so obsessed with dharma that he lost a lot of many things. Like he lost in the game of dice, as well as we see an example in the Mahabharata war, where it is said Yudhishthira Maharaj Rath never touches the ground. So it is a bit higher above the ground, and it can move very fast because there is no much friction of touching the ground. And since it is above the ground, so it Yudhishthira Maharaj Rath travels at a very fast speed, and this is because of him keeping his dharma, upkeeping his dharma. So during the war, there was an incident where Lord Krishna asked Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell a lie. We all know this Leela, where he tells Yudhishthira to tell a lie that Ashwatthama has died, is dead. So Yudhishthira Maharaj says, "How can I tell a lie? I am Yudhishthira. I never do. I always keep up with dharma, and I don't lie." And interestingly, the moment he said that I won't lie, his ratha touched the ground. It fell on the ground. This shows that the dharma or adharma is not determined by what we think. It is so. It is so. It is clearly said, "Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat prinitam." So dharma is what Krishna says, what the Lord says. That is dharma. If he says tell a lie, then that is dharma. If he says don't tell a lie, then that is dharma. So dharma or adharma is determined by what the Lord's desire is. That's what we see. As the Purusha, the Supreme Lord takes his sankalpa, has his desire, the Prakriti arranges everything. So she does what he wants. Doesn't matter what it is. Because whatever the Lord wants is always pure. It's always transcendental. So we cannot judge the Lord's action by our definition of good and bad. So that's what it says. One who is not too obsessed with dharma or adharma, that's a place where you can reside in his heart. And another one is one without any confusions, doubts, or dilemmas. So Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita also, where a person who is full of doubts, his life is going to be a miserable one, whether in this life or the next life. So he says this one specific verse in Bhagavad Gita regarding doubts and dilemmas. So that is one very important thing which we have to remember. So this is the sloka in Bhagavad Gita. It's from chapter 4, text number 40. Ajñascha shraddadhanascha samshayatma vinashyati nayam lokosthina paro nasukam samshayatmanaha. So it says, but ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures, that is the Vedic scriptures, do not attain God consciousness. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So samshayatma vinashyati is that's the line written here. Samshayatma vinashyati. Nayam lokostina paro nasukam samshayatmana. He will never be happy wherever he is. For a doubting soul, this is the situation. So that's what even Valmiki Maharshi says here. So one who is without confusions, doubts, dilemmas, as well as who do not have any worldly attachments, the heart of such a person is your beautiful temple. Next, who is he who is devoid of any kind of pride, is peaceful, is without any sort of attachment or hatred towards anyone, and treats a dead, that is a pinda, a stone, and a piece of gold equally. So he is not attracted by the gold, or he does not have any aversion towards the dead or something like this. He sees everything equally. The heart of such a person is your residence. He who concentrates his mind and intellect on you and remains ever content, who offers all his deeds to you, his mind and heart is your auspicious abode. So this again Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita how to offer every actions of ours to the Lord. He who does not have any kind of malice, ill will, or hatred, even when subjected to unfavorable circumstances and unpleasantness, and neither does he get thrilled, happily excited, or delighted on receiving anything pleasant or having favorable circumstances, and having decided that all the worldly events are mere illusions or Maya, he constantly worships, adores, and remembers you. The heart the heart and mind of such a person is your residence. So here we see that this again Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita, that one should not be happy, elated because of the temporary happiness that we get in this world, or one must not degrade himself because of the sufferings that he faces in this world. He who does not have any kind of malice, ill will, or hatred, even when subjected to unfavorable circumstances. Now, this is something very important because we see how people are suffering in this world due to various circumstances and situations in their life. And because of these sufferings, their heart becomes so pained and wounded that they have this hatred towards the people who have caused them the suffering, or because of the situations which have caused them the suffering, or towards the country, or towards the government, or towards whoever it is who was the cause of their suffering. They have a lot of hatred and ill will and any a revengeful mentality towards those circumstances and people. So what we have to understand is this is a result of our karma. Now, that doesn't mean that when someone hurts us, we just sit there suffering everything. We need to take precautions and we need to safeguard ourselves and defend ourselves. But at the same time, we should have this higher understanding that it's all happening because of my past karmas. So these people or circumstances that are causing this difficult situation for me are just instruments used by the nature in order to execute this particular karma for me. So there is no point in pointing at people or circumstances, because this is my karma which is coming back to me. So they say that you won't you won't come across a person or any situations or any person in your life if it was not meant for you, or if it is not according to your karma, because you won't even see a person smiling at you. You won't even see a person just show their face in front of you if it is not meant to be in your karma. It won't happen. You see how millions of people are in this world, but how we come across just the few people around us, because they are the ones who are bound to us by some sort of a karma. So this is something which we have to understand. And if we are clear about this understanding, then we will not have this hatred, or even we won't be thrilled by someone just glorifies us, and we get so attached to them. So even those kind of attachments won't also be there when we understand this higher truth. So continuing the same sloka. He who sees the six faults in this gross body, but not in the eternally pure soul, who regards hunger, thirst, happiness, sorrows, grief, and fears, etc., as a defect of the vital winds and mind intellect complex, and who is detached from the various aspects of the behavioral world, the mind and intellect of such a person is your abode. So they say the six faults or defects relevant to the body are power, birth, change. Okay, fine. These are the six like a person is born, he grows up, he lives for a while, he reproduces, then slowly he dwindles, and finally he dies. So these are the six uh, changes that happens in a person's life, not in a person's, anything living. These are the six changes that happens in a living body. So, and it is meant to happen. It's not that I'll always remain young, or I will always remain old, or death will never come for me, or birth I will never be born. So these things keep happening. So one who understands this and is not affected by any of this, and that is the person in whose heart Lord Ramachandra resides. He who sees the supreme being represented by you, who are enlightened and eternally blissful, a personification of truth, eternal and eternal, which means without an end or a beginning. The one and the only one are faultless, untarnished, as well as unattached, are all pervading and worthy of adoration, as being present in the soul of all the creatures. O Sri Rama, you should make residence in their lotus-like hearts along with Sita. The significance of lotus is very important because we see that uh, Hriday Kamalam, so the lotus in the heart. So there is lotus everywhere. So the lotus of the heart is a place where the Lord resides. So the significance of lotus we see throughout the scriptures, throughout the Vedic scriptures, uh, how it is very close to the Lord. He whose mind and intellect have become stable by constant practice, who involves himself in the service of your holy feet, whose sins and accumulated evil deeds have been destroyed by the singing of your holy names in chorus, their lotus-like heart is the residence of both you and Sita. So one who always chants the names of the Lord. O Sri Rama, by the potential power and grace of that holy name, I have achieved the exalted stature of a Brahma Rishi. How can anyone describe the glory and fame of that divine name? So we know the story of how Valmiki attained his position just by chanting the names of Lord Ramachandra. Initially, he was a hunter and he couldn't chant the names of Rama. So Narada Muni, his guru, Valmiki Maharshi's guru, said, okay, you can't chant the name Rama, chant Mara. Mara means to kill. That's what a hunter was. As a hunter, he was doing. He was killing. So Mara he was able to chant Mara easily because that's what he was doing. So but then by chanting Mara, he was actually chanting the Rama's name. So however it is, in whatever way you chant, if it is the name of the Lord that you chant, then it definitely has its influence on all of us. In an earlier time, I lived and was brought up among the Kiratas, the forest tribals. My activities and behavior were like Shudras. My higher class was confined only to my birth. He was just born as a Brahmin, but his activities, everything, he was brought up in the family of in the forest, the tribal forest. So all his activities were like of a lower community. Many sons were born from my Shudra like sperms. Okay, so his sons. At that time, due to the company of robbers, I too had become a great bandit myself. Like Kal, who represents death for creatures, I too also held a bow and arrow to threaten and, if necessary, kill my victims. One day, I saw the seven celestial sages pass through a dense forest. So here, Valmiki is saying about his about his past. So the seven great sages, so talking about the Saptarishis, they were self-illuminated like the fire and the sun due to their own splendor and radiance. With a desire to rob them of their priceless clothes, etc., I ran behind them due to greed. I said, "Stop, stop!" The sages looked at me and admonished me, saying, "Oh, the fallen Dvija, the Dvija means the Brahman, why are you coming behind us?" I replied, "Oh, the best among sages, I have many hungry sons and kins to look after. So I have come to take something so as to sustain them. I keep on roaming in the forest and surrounding mountains for feeding and sustaining them. Then those sages fearlessly asked me, all right, go once again to your kinsmen and ask them individually if they will share the sins and treasury of evils that you are accumulating daily by your misdeeds for their sake. Now, this is a very interesting question, which he says, because Valmiki says, I'm doing all the sins for my to support my family. So they said, okay, you're doing the sins for your family. That's what you claim. So then go and ask your family whether they will share the part of your sin. Be, be assured that till the time you come back, we will stay here and not run away or escape. I said, all right, and came home and asked my sons and wife the question which the sages had asked me. Who the best in the robust clan? That is Rama. They said, the sins and evils will be all yours. We only enjoy the fruits that are derived out of it. So, yeah, that is whatever he brings back home. We are not concerned how you bring them or how you manage to gather or arrange for them or the means you employ to acquire them. We are only concerned with the fruits of your efforts. When I heard this, I was shocked, disillusioned, dismayed, and being overcome with detachment. I returned to the place where the seven sages were. On the way, I was constantly reflecting on the significance of this revelation. Then my internal being was purified at the sight of the sages. I threw away the bow, etc., and fell down like a stick on the ground before the sages. O the best among sages, save me from falling in this ocean of sins, evils, vices, misdeeds. Seeing me agitatedly shouting in this way, they said to me, stand up. The good company that you have had with us has borne fruits. You should certainly have welfare and auspiciousness. We shall preach you a little. That will be sufficient to liberate you. That's enough. So you see, we struggle to give the teachings of the Vedas to the people so that they can be uplifted. And the great sages look at their exalted position. They say, little preaching is enough. Our little preaching is enough for, and it will be sufficient to liberate. That's their great power. Then they held a brief discussion among themselves to the effect that though this wretched and fallen Brahman is best avoided by gentlemen because of his great sins, misdeeds, and vices, but still, since he has come to take refuge with us, we must make efforts to salvage him or to save him. O Sri Rama, deciding thus, they reversed the letters of your holy name and divine name and said to me, you stay here and constantly, unfailingly, with due conviction, faith, and concentration, repeat Mara. Until the time we come back again, you should steadfastly repeat these words without fail. Saying this, all those divine sages went away. Thereafter, I did exactly as instructed by them. In this way, by constantly doing the japa with intense concentration and faith, I became unaware of all the external world and its stimuli. With the passage of a long time since I was absolutely immobile and devoid of any external contacts, a mound of mud, that is they call it Valmik in Sanskrit. It's called Valmik. Formed over me after the passage of 1,000 yugas. It's a long time. Those sages came back again and said to me, "Come out." And I stood up immediately, coming out of the mud, mount like the sun emerging through the mist. Then the sages proclaimed, "O sage, henceforth you are Valmiki." Ah, okay, fine. So here there is a footnote. It said 1,000 yugs. So it is not the Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. It's not that yugas. It says one yug is 12 years here. So basically, Valmiki has done that tapasya for 12 times 1,000, 12,000 years. Since you have emerged from the mud mount, hence this is tantamount to your second birth. Okay, it's like a birth. Okay, fine. Because we all are said to be born from the earth. So one is the birth that our mother gives us, And since here Valmiki was inside this mud mound, again he emerged out of the mud, so it's like a second birth for him. Oh, the best in Raghu's clan. Saying this, they went away to heavens. O Sri Rama, I have become such an exalted and fortunate one by the virtue of your holy name that I am having the good fortune of viewing you, who are a lotus-eyed one, along with Sita and Lakshmana. Ha, verily, without doubt, I have been liberated. O Sri Rama, come. Now I shall show you the place for your residence during your time in the forest. Saying this, the sage accompanied his disciples and Lakshmana went to a place midway between the mountains and river Ganges and had a large cottage type dwelling constructed there for the use of Sri Rama. There were two rooms in it, one facing east-west and another in the north-south axis. The place where Sri Rama is a footnote. The place where Sri Rama lived in Chitrakoot was constructed in the above manner. The description is very clear about the layout or plan of the structure. This fact is different from the Tulasidas Ramcharitramanas, where the hut for Sri Rama was built by Lakshmana alone. So we never know, like there are different stories. In Ramayana it says this, in Ramcharitramanas it's a different one. So and it's all it and all these are coming out of meditation of the great sages. So it must have happened in different yugas, in different universes with a different storyline. So, but the main part is the same, but who does what is different, as we discussed earlier. Even the climax of Ramayana changes in different yugas, in different uh, kalpas, in different universes. Sri Rama, along with Sita and Lakshmana, took up residence in the magnificent dwelling most cheerfully and comfortably like gods do in their divine abodes. Having been praised and honored in all possible ways at the hands of Valmiki, Sri Rama, along with Sita and Lakshmana, and accompanied by gods and hermits, etc., began to live there even most happily, even as Indra, the king of gods, live in heaven with his wife Sachi. It is evident that Sri Rama was not alone in Chitrakoot, for he was accompanied by gods and hermits. So with this, we come to the end of the sixth chapter of Ayodhya Kand, Adyatma Ramayana. So thank you for joining. We'll meet again in the next session. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.